everyone, we are Group 4. I'm Wan Chui Yi. Today we are going to have a presentation about a food poisoning event in Hong Kong. There is our content page. First, we are going to talk about the introduction of the news and the background of the food. Second, we are going to talk about suspected foodborne diseases. Third, we will provide some recommendation and do the abbreviation. At last, we will do the conclusion.
I will do a brief introduction. First, let me talk about the news which we found in Sky Post and on CC. The news is about 11 people who are aged 14 to 70 suffer from food poisoning after eating raw crab and porno oysters in a Kowloon City crab in Montauk seafood steam pot. They had abdominal pain, fever, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea about 4 to 42 hours later. The median onset is 34 hours. 6 of the infected persons have sought medical attention and do not require hospitalization. All patients are in stable condition. The Center of Health Protection reminded when eating out users avoid raw seafood and choose cold dishes carefully, such as sushi and oysters. From the buffet, when eating hot pot or barbecue, you should ensure that the food is fully cooked before eating. Also, separate raw and cooked food thoroughly and use 2 sets of chopsticks to handle raw and cooked food separately. And you can see the boxes showing the case details. The date of this poisoning incident is the 3rd of June in 2022. And there were 11 people who were aged 14 to 70. The place of the incident is in the Kowloon City crab in Montauk seafood steam pot. The incubation period of the symptoms is 4 to 42 hours. The median onset is 34 hours. In this food poisoning case, all of the people who eat big yellow crab and prawn oyster lead to abdominal pain, fever, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea.
Next, I will talk about the suspected food disease and analyze whether the symptoms of this disease are appropriate. Vibrio parahematogus is a soft-lovely bacteria commonly found in the marine environment and in the seafood. This bacteria is one of the major pathogens responsible for food poisoning in Hong Kong. It has a very high reproductive capacity and can multiply within a few hours at home temperatures of 80 to 22 degrees Celsius. When seafood, most likely shellfish, is consumed without being thoroughly cooked, inversion is likely to happen. It is one of the most common culprit of food poisoning. The incubation of this bacteria is about 4 to 13 hours, usually 12 to 24 hours. Symptoms include abdominal pain, diarrhea, vomiting, and something a slight fever. In terms of transmission, people can be refit by food eating raw and uncooked seafood, or cooked food contaminated with this bacteria that has not been thoroughly reheated. Foods easily contaminated with this bacteria are mainly seafood, including fish, mollusks, and crustaceans. Important handling of food may also lead to cross-contamination and contamination of another food with it. After that, I will analyze and compare this bacteria and symptoms. In the incubation period, the VP is 4 to 13 hours and the news is 4 to 42 hours, which is a good match. In terms of symptoms, the news had symptoms of VP such as abdomen pain, diarrhea, or vitamin. In terms of transmission, it has observed that the infusion of meat from raw or uncooked seafood. Therefore, I have a reason to believe that the patient was infected with this bacteria.
So the next part is talk about the poisoning to pneumonia. About the pneumonia. Pneumonia infection is a foodborne disease and a zoonotic disease, mainly caused by eating food contaminated by animal waste. In the broadcast method, the consumed water or food contaminated by animal or human waste. The contaminated food, such as the raw or uncooked eggs, milk, and the meat products. The pneumonia can easily multiply under the high temperature and spread more easily. About the source of the food poisoning, the pneumonia is parasitic on raw meat and poultry. The source is talk about the seafood. The pneumonia sign and symptoms is and incubation time is not matched to the news. The food source is not matched to news. So about the analysis and comparisons, the pneumonia incubation period is 6 hours to the 2 days, but the news is that the incubation period is 4 to 42 hours. Although the pneumonia symptoms is similar, but the pneumonia is not transmitted through the seafood. Is transmission by the animals or human waste, and the news is transmitted by the seafood like the big yellow crab. So this is the end of the poisoning part 2.
Hello, my name is Seiya Obu. We are going to talking about the recommendation videos. First of all, let's watch about the video.
Hi guys, it's me, Asha. Yeah, 我到咗 hot guys and great food everywhere 嘅 Paris 啦。
Bonjour.
Oh my god, he's so hot. 唔得，景致 please. Bonjour. 吓，生蠔
Oui.
Well, I mean 生蠔係生噶嘛，冇煮過好容易受病菌污染噶喎。我有食緊胃藥，免疫力咁弱，用乜嘢又搞到又屙又嘔㗎？但人哋咁有 heart， 我 as 一個 lady should not let him down。delicious。好痛啊仲 ！I told you boy， 生蠔容易受副溶血性弧菌同諾如病毒污染，老友有咗病緊，免疫力弱，真心唔好掂生冷嘢啊！去信得過嘅持牌餐廳就話啫，估唔到佢間嘢冇牌嘅。What the？ 買生蠔必須光顧可靠嘅持牌店鋪，高危人士就避免食生嘅好啦。
And this is the key points of the video. The video is talking about raw oysters. They haven't been cooked yet, so it gets contaminated by germs easily. And they contaminate by Vibrio parahemolytics and norovirus. And this virus will affect to elderly, children, pregnant women, people with diseases. Next page. And the treatment, if you are infected about food poisoning accidentally, it's recovering within 2 or 3 days.
I'm Tsang Yee Kiu. Let's move on to the prevention. It's including 2 parts. It's about industry or restaurant and consumer. So let me explain the prevention for industry or restaurant. It's about the food stocks. First, food premises should obtain foods and food ingredients from approved source or source that approved by regulatory authority having jurisdiction. Also, The industry or restaurant should purchase the food ingredients from reliable suppliers with good hygiene condition. It can ensure the quality of the food and protect the health of the consumer. Next is about the food receiving. Food products should be inspected as they are received to ensure that they are protected from contamination. For the seafood, it should be kept at a temperature for -80 degrees or below. The transportation as soon as possible, including being freezed during transport with ice. Also, it should be well packaged and clean. The industry or restaurant should retain the purchase orders, invoice, and sale records if have any question. Next, it is about the process of thawing and cooking. For the thawing, at a temperature that will prevent the rapid growth of bacteria that cause foodborne disease. Also, thaw in the shortest time possible to prevent those bacteria from multiplying to dangerous levels. The most important thing is cook all the food thoroughly to avoid food poisoning. For the food disposal, if food is found or suspected to be unsafe and unfit for consumption, for example, seafood has found the seafood stored at room temperature for a long time, contaminated and damaged, we should dispose it as quickly as possible.
There are a few things we can do in the restaurant environment. First, the area and items of equipment should be cleaned. The utensils can be cleaned with a towel and avoid the working environment being too messy. Also, it should not allow any pests, such as cockroaches or rats in the area, and monitor and record the effectiveness regularly. Also, personal hygiene is important to prevent food poison. For the personal hygiene of food handlers, the employees should take off their accessories such as watches and rings, and they need to change into a worker aprons. Third, they need to be aware of the physical condition as staying at home if feeling unwell. With long hair, they need to tidy it up and prepare a hairnet. For further example, like wearing a mask or wound management with bright color tape is a necessary part of personal hygiene. And now, let's watch a short video before I introduce the key of food safety.
Antimicrobial resistant bugs can be transmitted through food. To prevent bugs, choose fresh and hygienic raw food. Wash hands and utensils before and after handling food. Use separate knives and chopping boards for raw and cooked food, and store foods separately. Cook food thoroughly until its core temperature reaches 75 degrees Celsius. Keep food at a safe temperature of 4 degrees C or below, or above 60 degrees C. Follow the 5 keys to food safety to prevent bugs.
So, from the video, it states 5 important keys to food safety for the consumer. To key 1, it is about choosing. People can choose to the patronized license or reliable restaurant to decrease the chance of food poisoning event happened. Also, when you discover any strange or odd food like raw pork, you should stop eating immediately.
Key 2 is to clean your hands before eating. Wash your hands with soap and wash your hands together for at least 20 seconds. Then rinse your hands under running water. Last, wash hands with a clean cloth, towel, and paper towel. You also can use it as the alcohol-based hand wipes or disinfectant alcohol to wash your hands. The key thing is to separate to use different utensils when required to handle both and cook food or ready to eat food. For example, use one utensil to take size and in order to start or mix food. The key for is cook is safest. To have cooked seafood surface well, if unsure whether the food is thoroughly cooked, you can ask the restaurant staff to cook the food again. Also, to choose a restaurant with a specific license. The key five is safe temperature. Bacteria and viruses thrive first at temperature between 4 and 60 degrees Celsius. So take food quantity. After cooking, cooked food should not be eaten if it has been left at room temperature for more than 2 hours.
Let's do the conclusion. Since customer has symptoms such as head abdominal pain, fever, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, so it matched the bacteria as Ribio parahemolytic. Also, the only type of food associated with Ribio parahemolyticus is seafood or shellfish. So, it had a high chance to be this bacteria. For the 5 key to food safety, we need to choose the reliable restaurants. Keep personal hygiene, washing hands before eating. Separate the raw and cooked food to prevent contamination. Make sure food is fully cooked and make sure the cooked food would not stay in room temperature for too long. This is our reference. This is the end of our group presentation. Thank you.